States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask the board to please stand for a moment of silence as we consider the importance of the work that we're about to do this evening, and also to consider the sadness that was recently endured by one of our faculty members, family, with the Fagan family. Thank you. Thank you. Julie, if you would please do a roll call.
John Bouquet. Here. Brian Carson.
Here.
Jessica Decker. Beth Fisher.
Here.
Corey Homer.
Here.
Pam Lutby.
Here.
Jack O'Leary.
Here.
Chuck Pike.
Here.
And John O'Rourke.
Here.
May I have a volunteer to read the mission statement?
I'd be happy to, Pam. Delaware Valley School District, in partnership with our community, stands committed to maximizing student potential, fostering lifelong learning, and promoting responsible citizenship.
Thank you, John. And may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. I would like to remind everyone in the audience that your comments are welcome. Just put your hand up, identify yourself, and Julie will recognize you. And now we're going to have our student presentations.
Okay, we've had a wonderful fall with 5 teams that won District 2 titles. So tonight and next meeting in December up at Dignas Middle School, we'll be recognizing those teams. So tonight we're going to recognize a few teams. We're going to start with girls volleyball. If you want to come on in. You can line up along that wall, go as far as you can.
We did have a plan. Yeah. Hello, I'm Coach Crawford. This is Mr. Crawford, my assistant coach, and this is the 2017 District 2 championship team from Delaware Valley High School. I want to thank Dr. Bell, the school board, and of course our administration for having us over this evening. And we're going to start from this end down for our freshmen to our seniors.
I'm Kelly Waska, and I'm a freshman. I'm Jessica Darty, and I'm a freshman. I'm Gabby Lee, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Emily Anderson, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Elizabeth Bogo, and I'm a junior.
I'm Allie Shevkovich, and I'm a junior.
I'm Evangeline Kelly, and I'm a junior.
I'm Skylar Ugley, and I'm a junior.
I'm Senta Quinn, and I'm a junior.
I'm Hannah Lee, and I'm a junior.
I'm Olivia Wood, and I'm a senior.
I'm Kristen Galafka, and I'm a senior.
I'm Brooke Williams, and I'm a senior.
And I'm Julia Steele, and I'm a senior.
This year we ended up 17-2, winning the district title. We lost to Holy Redeemer, and then to Freedom High School, trying to get into our sub-regional. But I do want to thank you. Last year we thanked you for that wonderful gym that you provided for us, and this year we want to thank you for that magical bus. Because our team has to travel on an average of about an hour and a half to each competition. It's a long ride, and it really did make it a lot nicer having that bus. So thank you.
How many years now? How many titles? And how many?
Well, we're
trying to work on that.
This is our 8th in a
while.
row, and this is our 10th out of 11 years. We had one little hiccup, and so we're just gonna keep going. The seniors, you know, we have our little farewell to them, and then already we have several players on travel programs over in Orange County and some in New Jersey. And then the rest of the girls are playing with our Rafters program that we started 11 years ago. And we have a group of kids, and we'll start in December.
Awesome.
Getting ready again.
You guys are a dynasty.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, the other teams see you coming and they want to run away. You know, you should really be proud of your effort. It's really something to watch you guys play. And I'd love to hear from the seniors if they know where they're going next year. If they have any plans.
I have no idea.
What do you want to study?
Probably athletic training. And I looked at University of Rhode Island and I really liked it, so that's definitely an option. But I'm still not sure.
Manhattanville College is my first choice to go, and I'm undecided.
I'm committed to Clarion University, and I'm going to study speech therapy.
I think I want to go to Boston University and major in biology.
Now, Taylor's a senior, right? So we'll,
No.
Taylor Braun-Eagle?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
we'll do
right.
4
So
years
she
at
will,
Clarion and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the outside hitter, and hopefully we'll just like move right in there, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have an amazing streak. When you were all coming in, I thought we might have to have 2 rows, you know, and when you do photos, you say the taller one's in the back. And you just kept coming.
They keep growing every year, they come back.
This is a back row group. Really amazing. But your streak is phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
but we know it doesn't come easy. You guys work hard and, you know, you leave at god awful times on Saturday mornings to go play in tournaments all over. But it pays off in the long run. So when you have to drag yourself out of bed, you know it's all worth it in the long run. So, and we're still proud of that 188 match streak that you broke last year.
Yes, yes.
We'll always brag
We'll-
about that.
I will say that both our games that we lost were 5 matches. And since I have been coaching 11 years, we have only had 3 matches that went to game 5. So, you know, we just have to jump that hurdle to win that game 5. And so that's that's one of our goals for next year already, so.
Well, juniors, after you walk out of here tonight, you're now the seniors.
Yeah.
You're in charge of the season to make sure you step it up, right?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
No.
Okay. All right, coach, come on in. This is boys soccer. They're tall too. Not all. My kid's in the line, so I'm gonna get short there.
No, the volleyball team was definitely taller. Good evening. My name is Aaron Stark. I'm the head boys varsity soccer coach. I want to thank Dr. Bell and the Board of Education for having us here tonight, recognizing our district championship. Many of our guys couldn't make it due to work and whatnot, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you. Go ahead.
Daniel Bradley, striker and goalkeeper, graduating class 2019.
Joby Curtin, sophomore and plays center mid.
David Marcial, junior and forward. Tyler Nofel, junior forward.
My name is Mike Odendahl. I'm a senior and I play goalkeeper. I'm Dave Bell. I'm a senior. I play midfield.
My name is Matt Dominich. I'm a junior and I play defender.
John Necker, sophomore, team manager.
And Steve McMahon, I'm a sophomore, and I play midfield.
John, that was a great picture of you in the dispatch with these monkeys carrying you around. That was great. So now this is 2 in a row and 3 of the last 6. This is my 6th year. We've won 3 times, so
yeah,
that's quite an accomplishment as well, coach.
Yeah, we had a 24-man roster this year, which is big roster for a soccer program. 13 of them are seniors, so we're losing a lot. You don't normally see that, but with that, we had a lot of success this year. We had some ups and downs, but come out on top of the district championship. We're really proud of that. We would have liked to beat Williamsport, made a state bid, but with this 13 seniors, we have a lot of youth talent coming up, and we're extremely excited about that. And we already have started hitting the weight room. We started on Wednesday. I gave them about a week off, and we head right back into it. But we offer a lot for these boys in the off season. Right after the new year, we start indoor soccer. We have a couple teams running down to Scranton for their indoor league. And I run a great league out here on the turf in the spring. It's an 8v8 league where we have 8 school districts from the surrounding area come to our school, so we don't have to travel. See how we travel quite a bit in the regular season. They come to us, so it's a nice thing for these guys to be a part of.
And the JV was 16-0-1 in the regular season, so there's a lot of talent coming up too.
Yeah, we're really excited about what's coming up through the program. So,
Guys, thanks for the hard work. Paid off. You really make us proud.
thank you. And I know the guys really appreciate everything the school district does for us and all the opportunities you offer to us. So, on behalf of the team, I'd like to thank everybody for that. So, thank you very much.
And they were the first group to ever get to use the new bus. They took it to a pro soccer game.
Yeah. Thank God we didn't have everybody go to that game because we wouldn't fit on the bus.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have to recognize 2 senior athletes. There are actually 2 senior board members. We're going to honor. I really nice things the last night. So I'm going to ask Jack and Chuck if you go up to the smart board, and we have some gifts for you.
Seniors, maybe.
Okay. This is the final board meeting for both of these members. And we have some gifts for them. Pam, would you like to give these out and just talk about that?
One of our former board members, Zach Pierce, as you know, has a warming station in partnership with the Deer Park Church and the Lutheran Church in Port Jervis. So I knew you 2 gentlemen would definitely appreciate being honored by this board through a donation to that warming center.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Great.
So, Chuck and Jack and what can I say? Lots of years.
Good job.
2 wonderful men. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have plaques for both men tonight too. And it says, given a great appreciation for your 16 and 12 years of dedicated service to our students. And it has the DV logo and Delaware Valley School Board on it.
Oh,
Very nice.
If you guys would give them.
Jack. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Gonna run out of hands.
Thank you.
And then we also have certificates from the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. Frame certificates in honor of both of them as well for their years of service.
Wow. Yeah. Appreciate it, John. Congratulations. Thank you.
Lots of presents this year. Congratulations.
You want a chance? We'll have them pose for you, Wayne. You want to have them to them pose?
Sure.
If you guys want to get on each side of them, how about that?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
We can talk, we'll sit and talk about this.
No, I have a gift for the board. You know me, Wayne. I truly appreciated being a member of this board. You all are excellent, wonderful people of integrity. And you know there's another issue that's near and dear to my heart. What is that?
1, 2, 3.
So I'm going to present Mr. Bell with the elephant in the room. And if you would open that, I'd appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He always talks about the elephant at the town elephant in the room. On the bottom it says, stay strong for DV. And on the back it says, my name is Peasers.
served on this board together for a long time. We've seen a lot of issues come and go. Field turf, remember that? Well, that was one of the most controversial things in the community. Almost cost some of us our reelection, as you can remember. And now we just, this board just approved resurfacing the field turf, and there was not a murmur.
What a difference a lot of years makes.
It's funny how things change and attitudes change, but my goodness, your contributions to this board, your wisdom, and your understanding of the financial issues, and your character has really shown for the past years. It's been an honor serving with you.
If I could, for a second. You know, when I left the boards a couple of
Which
years
time?
ago, there was no help for the former DV school board director. So, in my off time, I've written the manual. It's gone through the policy.
You spare time.
I did want you to know it's written in invisible ink. And earlier today, Julie has sent you the glasses to your house certified mail to make sure that you'll be able to read it because it's really P&C stuff. The roster in there goes back to 1972 of all the board members who are in our club now. There's information in there about where we meet, how often. All our policies are in there about, code of conduct and topics that we can discuss. We also even have a dress code. You don't have to worry about suit and tie where you're going now. It's good. There are some perks in there. You each get a computer with a 3-year upgrade. The warranty information is in there. There's vouchers in there for all the missed meals that you've had over the last 16, 12 years. There's also vouchers in there for flowers and candy for your spouses who have gone without, even on Valentine's Day, because I remember that meeting. I wanted you to know that there's a life extension clause in there. For every night that you spent here, ×2, you are able to redeem that at any time. Most of us have chosen to do that just before our last breath, but you can use it. We have an annual conference over the 7 continents. We go from one to the other, and the next one is Europe, so you guys will be able to get into that one, but make sure you fill out your permission slips. I think it's on page 97. There's an insurance card in there for your lifetime health care. You didn't know that, right? But you get to leave with lifetime health care as well as your pension information is in there. Depending on your years of service, beginning December 1st, your checks are going to be directly deposited into your personal accounts. One of my favorites, there's an alcohol allowance in there. We do encourage responsible drinking. That's under policy 816. But depending on your hours of service times a factor of 0.03, you get to have an alcohol allowance. We also give you mileage reimbursement for every meeting you come and gone from. That's based on the federal rate, or if you don't like that, you can pick up a Lexus, which is out in the parking lot. The keys are already in there. Just pick the color of the one you want. If you have any questions, because I am the secretary of this group now, you can call us at 1-800 Thursdays are free.
Remember the night the power was out in all of Pike County, and we still came here, and that's like
Candles.
Yeah, oh yeah. We didn't cancel for anything.
But to the two of you, I just wanted to say thank you. When I had to make the decision about coming back to DV, one of the reasons I felt safe about making that jump across the state lines and coming back, giving up everything that you have in one place to start new, was the quality of this board. I worked with a lot of boards in the 5 different districts and some really crazy ones. But you guys make this job bearable. It's not always a fun job, but the quality of what you guys do here at this table has always made it much more enjoyable than what it could have been. And you hear horror stories in other places, so thank you to both of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a privilege to serve on this board. Been a pleasure most of the time. And I just, want to thank the district, for what they've done for my children who've gone through the district. I really appreciate that, the board, all the activities and programs that they provided, my family benefited from it. And the administrators and staff, they certainly benefited from them also. And, it's always nice to be able to have an opportunity to give back to the community, and that was my purpose. So thank you.
I got an email today from Zach, congratulating me on my retirement. And I said to him, you have a different perspective 25 years later. I lost a few elections in between my attempts here. The first one had to do with a football team way back in the early 90s. And I said, now that my grandson is 3 weeks old, it really means something to see the great education my children received here over the years. They went K to 12 here. Now I want to see my grandchildren where they live have the same great school district that we have here, and hopefully the great types of people that I've met over the years. Not just this board, but other boards also. So thank you all so much for the privilege of being on this board. You make it all great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack.
And if I may, I mean, the facilities speak for themselves. I mean, they're in great shape, and Chuck has been involved in that, and Jack with and Chuck and the whole board with a couple of initiatives. I checked with our financial advisors, and just to give you a little bit about how I have to do, when we do bond issues, I've got to talk to Moody's. And because of our balance sheet and the way we run the place and commit balances, we save at least $100,000 per bond issue because we get a better interest rate. But the biggest one is when this board decided to go to 15-year of debt repayment schedules, which was led by these gentlemen and whoever, Pam, you were on the board at those times, that saves you $1.2 million on every bond issue, paying them over 15, where most districts paid over 20. So through your careers, I would say we were close to $10 million in savings on those two factors, which is impressive. I mean, that really is impressive. So thank you for that type of leadership.
And Jack, you're not off the hook because you promised me I was going to be able to sit down and pick your brain.
Yes,
So we're still going to do that.
we're going to do that. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be here on the 12th of December at 8 a.m.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I might be the only community member here. We're gonna go over the audit, so.
But I tell you, I'm gonna say something, because when I first got on this board, I actually miss Chuck, and we butted heads a lot, you know? But what the good thing that I've always learned is I like somebody like Chuck. Because when somebody agrees with me, I learn absolutely nothing. Never learn a thing. And Chuck has been on this board for a long, long time, and he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom. And I knew nothing coming into this board, not a thing, of how this thing's run. So, you know, although we like kind of butted heads at times, I learned from all of those, and I appreciate those, and I gotta thank you for that, you know? And when you say myself and Chuck outside of here, like we were at the football game last week, we get along great. It's just the business part of it here. You know, we had our difficulties, and I can't say I regret that, because that was where my learning experience came from, you know? So if I was a pain in the neck, I sincerely apologize. Thank you for teaching me an awful lot of stuff, because I learned a lot more than you probably think I learned. It does sink in. I am teaching. Mr. Fisher, on the other hand, now.
That's right.
We really started off on a rocky road here, you know? And that shows you how a friendship can grow. Because I'm really sad seeing Jack leave. I voted for Jack. I supported Jack. I asked people that I knew to vote for Jack. And that's not the way we started, was it? I remember an argument in Tammany Hall or something being mentioned, and
Can't say what goes on in executive session. So.
No. That was just joking. But I called Jack today and talked on the phone because I value his opinion, you know. and his expertise. And I had some serious questions that I had to ask. And about financial matters in the district, because we're not going to have that. And he said to them, we're losing a really big piece of this board without you. And I'm sincerely going to miss you.
Thank you.
Because
Gonna miss you too, Jack.
very serious. One thing we've been able to do here, I'm old school. People say to me, "Oh, you're old school, Jack." I said, I built that thing. That's how old I am. I said, when I first started, this was all farmland out here. You know, and I'm in the middle of Manhattan when I say that. But Jack and me, we were able to do like gentlemen's agreements. When he said he'd keep his word, he did. And I said I keep my word to him, he did. And that's the thing, a gentleman's agreement is a thing of an era gone by. It doesn't exist in today. And it makes today less than what it used to be. Because there was an era when gentlemen could make an agreement and they would keep that. And it's a rare, rare thing to see today. And I had that with Jack Fisher here on this board. And that to me means an awful lot. And that really is the best. So, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your service, guys.
I would just like to say that it's not often in life that you meet someone who allows you to become a better individual. And having been on the board for many years, I have to say that these two gentlemen are true gentlemen. They are respectful. They have an abundance of care and dedication for the students of this district. We are a better district because of them and because of Sue Casey and because of previous board members that we have had. We have been a team for many years and we are still a team. And I know that if I have questions, because you have been my mentor throughout the years, I'm a better person because I've learned from both of you, financially, athletically, facility-wise. I will be in touch with you, you know that, and I will miss you. But I know you'll be out there still supporting us. And I would just like to thank you especially. It's hard to find gentlemen in this role today, so thank you. And no one else has anything to add? I'll now accept a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting from October 26, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
I feel like I'm at a funeral now.
Jack and John. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Our two student representatives are here this evening. We have Ariana Como and Shane Fagan. So we're going to turn our attention to your reports.
All right, I'll start. I'm Shane. One of the new things that we've done this past month is start an Alzheimer's Promise Garden. If you're not familiar with an FBLA, we do a state project every year, and it's the Alzheimer's Association this year. And November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So one thing we wanted to do was create a garden with different colored flowers to represent different relationships with Alzheimer's. One of the big things that the association does is they have walks throughout the year, similar to Relay for Life, if you're familiar with that structure. And whenever you do the walk, each person carries a different colored flower to represent whether they have Alzheimer's, whether somebody died that they know has Alzheimer's. So the past 2 weeks, we collected almost $500, and we'll have 275 flowers right outside the big DB of the new gym. So we're gonna have the woodshop guys put together a garden plot, and we're gonna have a nice promise garden out in front of the school.
Hi, I'm a little nervous. This is my first one, but I'm Ariana, and I'm the student council. One of the biggest things right now this week is we had a guest speaker come, Tony Hoffman. He talked about growing up in high school and like what he endured throughout his high school years and substance abuse. And I think it really hit home for a lot of my peers, and I had nothing but positive feedback. So, student council now we're working on our food drive and planning future events with that. So that's about it.
Thank you. You are welcome to stay throughout the meeting. I know you also have to get up early and probably have homework or whatever, so you also are welcome to lead the meeting.
We have a game tomorrow too, so.
Okay.
We heard.
You will have plenty of future meetings, so please don't.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
By the way, guys, please feel free, if you have something you want to share with us when we're considering a topic, don't be bashful, all right? You're here because we want to hear from you. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, are there any comments about administrative reports? I do have one suggestion, if the board is in agreement. I know that the high school staff has met with, has visited Lehigh Career Tech and visited with Clyde and another gentleman, I forget his name. I think he's in charge of the Career Tech now.
Oh, Kurt Adams.
Yes. So, and I know you've gained some valuable information. You're looking at the layout, discussing your plans and so forth. We really would like to be a part, at least I would, to be a part of that. So whether you bring it to the board or whether we come and meet with you at, a meeting, whatever's convenient for you, we'd like to see where we are with that and what their suggestions were and so forth. Okay.
I have a couple of questions on this. Jim, everything you're doing with Voltech, and I called you during the week to thank you. And everything you're doing with that. The electricians you just got on, we're doing tonight, that's a massive thing. I'm very pleased with everything I see there. It's just you keep pulling these things out of the hat, and I said last week when you weren't here, where does he get this stuff from, and it's really, really fantastic.
Bob and I, we've worked to beef up the OACs over the past couple of years, and we've been trying to get the unions to the table, since we both started, and we're just thrilled that Doc Kenny, who was a career tech teacher here for many, many years, is involved with the IBEW out of Scranton, and he was the connection. So we're thrilled to get them in here. And Doc's been involved in the OAC for a long time, so he got the guys to the table here, and we really do appreciate that, because we have a couple kids in the electrical program now, and their goal is to get in a local 81.
Right, and it's a streamline, right from here into an apprenticeship, into a career with great benefits, great pay, and not too bad a life.
Our next goal is try to get the carpenters here. We're working on that too. Carpenters union.
I really do appreciate it as a tradesman, and I'm a tradesman. I appreciate your efforts, because I know the road, how to get there, and how hard it is, and you're really streamlining it, and it's very advantageous for our children, for our young students going from here to that. That's like a dream come true. I see it now that I'm 55 from the other end of the spectrum, looking back. But I really was impressed, Jim. So I got to thank you, and also that you're taking the people, and yourself and Dr. Blum are taking down to the Voltech Center down there, and looking and getting great ideas on how they want their lab stuff set up. It's just really great. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Vives, the EITC grant that I read about, how much from the library that you did with the library? How much
It was about $9,000, I believe, and it covers our database for peer-reviewed articles. We also have some money that goes towards DVE-TV, and also the Enrollers Book of Knowledge, which is a K-12 product. And that's been a yearly for Rose. We've been doing that for
$100,000.
Yes, and it's something that we count on each year, which really helps us out.
Yes, it was 9,000. I was just wondering, because I missed that in the report.
And that's an estimate. I have that in my office, so I can give you an exact number next time we meet, but that's.
Good. I was just curious to how much that was, because, we're going to be talking about the library tonight.
Yes.
I'd like to know these numbers. I need a defense. I need an outfit. The other thing there's two other things I want to say really quickly. The overall cleanliness. I went to Shahola the other night to a concert. I got there late. The gym was dark. I loved it because nobody could ask me any questions. Nobody knew who I was. It was fantastic. I could sit and enjoy the kids, and that's what I really love. But I went back the next night for the Include Me program, because Mrs. Bixby was kind enough to invite me to come to that, to see what that's about. And I walked into that same gymnasium that had been, it had been used up the night before, so I'll say. A lot of people were in there. The place is like you could eat off the floor. It's spotless. And every building that I walk into, I was at Delaware Valley Elementary School the other night after work, pick up my daughter from Lego Club, and you could eat off the floors in these places. And I gotta say, I've worked in a lot of school districts as a construction guy. I've walked in there, nobody's looking because I'm nothing, I'm just a construction guy. And I see what goes on in some of these districts. Then I see ours, and it's like, am I in the same place, you know? Because our staff here, I went into Shahola the other night, there was a guy, he said to me, oh, I'm only a part-time guy. This guy was working like a dog. And then I see Santa, she's polishing everything in the place. And there's another guy up there, Bill, that I met, and just really doing, and that's everybody in every school and every building that I go to in this district. And it does stand out, so I thank Marvin for, his staff for his efforts today. The last thing I want to mention, and it's just a general thing, but I look through these reports and I really read them every month in some detail. And I see like at Delaware Valley Elementary School, Mr. Mang, he's a beekeeper, he goes out on the side. He brings in bees and he's teaching kids about beehives and stuff. And, that's like the beehive is the most antiseptic thing in nature. And I learned that from a beekeeper as well. And then he brings in apples. And up in the primary school, they planted, Ms. Wayne here, right? You planted a garden last year with the help of Tractor Supply. They helped you out, right? And now the kids this year see a growing pumpkin and they're turning it and everything and they got ready and then they cut it off. We're not teaching out of a book. We're putting things into children's hands, into our students' hands. We're taking the things out of the book and putting it into their hands. And these are fantastic things. And then I look at the middle schools, they bring people in. We take kids out again, Allie, to Stewart Air Force Base. All the kids got to do that. Thanks to the Rotary Club, all the third graders got dictionaries and they learned what I didn't know this, but I learned. I still don't know what the longest word in the English language is, but our third graders do know what that word is. Thanks to the Rotary Club with this. So the question that I got, like we brought the Kindred Spirits program in here in one of the schools. The American Readers Theater Project, and my daughter got to stand up. She wrote a little poem. I didn't know this kid could write poetry. And she got to stand up on the stage and read that. What I want to know really about this is why is this a secret? Why are we not telling everybody in our district, people that pay taxes, say, what am I paying my money for? This is what we need to tell them. I don't know how we go about doing that. But these are the things we need to tell them. Because I'm a conservative, you all know that. I want the best bang for my buck. And we're giving people the best bang for their buck. It's amazing when you go through these reports, but we're not telling anybody about it. It's like a big secret. And I don't know why we're not publicizing this, because there's great things happening in Delaware Valley. There's fantastically great things happening. And I go around to the schools and I see it, but I don't see a 10th of it or a 99th of it. So, I'd like us to publicize this. I'd like us to somehow get this on a website or something and get it out to the public and say, this is what's going on. Because my kids are only in DVES and DVMS. And if I was just a regular parent, I wouldn't know what's going on in the rest of the district. If I was a taxpayer without a child in the district at all, I wouldn't know what's going on.
I agree with you, Jack. I would love to see us have a newsletter that goes out to the entire community.
Yeah.
Because people have a right to know what their tax money is doing. And we have a lot to be proud of here. We've got a lot to share. So I don't think we have a budget for that kind of a newsletter.
I was just about to say that.
And I know I have asked for this.
We could do an online newsletter.
Oh, yeah, a lot of schools do e-newsletters now instead of the cost of printing and mailing or sending home.
Put it on the website.
Well, I have asked for
Okay,
that
that's
several times, but due to confidentiality of some of the information, we can't, perhaps we can have a more condensed version
Yeah, read that
of
one.
this
Modified
report.
version.
Read that, yeah, we'll just read that for
And,
us.
is there someone that could address that?
Yeah, we'll give it to the Director of Communications.
That was really good, John. Hey, well, you know what?
Yeah, I think we can go through
Just
those
emphasize
reports
the need for,
and pluck the highlights, and then you
attention
can have the monthly highlights on each school's webpage. You know what I mean? Because everybody doesn't care about every building, But the buildings they care about, if they went to it, it would be
I
on
know,
the
but
head.
I read it if you give them all of that
Right, it's too
information.
much.
But if you,
But
if
it
you just
works.
do some bullets of this, even just a picture submitted to the newspaper. To go in the newspaper, a picture with a little, underneath it, blurb, what the kids are doing.
in the other kids.
I don't know, I just think we're doing a lot of great stuff and somehow we gotta get that out of there.
And we really ratcheted it up with the newspaper the last couple of years. That was a critique a few years ago from the board. So we've ratcheted up our publication. There's times when we get that back page all to ourselves. But I like the idea of
Told me
putting the
that principal's
highlights.
reports are posted on the web pages.
The principal's reports are, well, that contains a lot of information.
So we
It's a
can put
matter
the
of-
highlights and put them on the web. We
Right.
can put them on the home pages of the schools. So, okay, we'll work on that.
This month at DV.
Done, they are.
Well, Vernon's had good success with their digital backpack. You've seen those at a few schools.
Yeah.
I noticed that they don't send home the papers anymore. Everything's that digital backpack now, and they send the newsletters through that way.
Years ago, we went all digital and stuff, and then, we went back in the other direction because the enrollments at Cal Ripken and youth football and all that dropped dramatically when they didn't get the paper in the book bag. So, but we also now have done what we do with community organizations. We have a link on our webpage for community events, so we don't have to send paper home again. We probably don't do a good enough job of that, though. We probably still send too much paper home.
The newspaper we produce is outstanding, the high school newspaper. Is there any way we can distribute that in the community, either through the library?
We have it already. Yep, we have it. Take the extra copies.
Is there any other?
I see it, it's at Naked Bagel, at the bagel shop. I'm trying to think where else I've run into it. But I can find out where they distribute.
Alright, so-
Yeah, that's good.
One of the things that I've done when I came on board the Pike Dispatch a year ago, I was an inductee into the New Jersey Scholastic Athletic Association Hall of Fame writing category. I was the third inductee ever. And when I came on board, I said, one of the things, it's hard to really, without taking up too much time on it, it's hard really to enhance municipal coverage because it's very complex and complicated. But I really felt, and I felt I could help with that, but I really thought that we could run with the athletic side of it. I think we've done that on the newspaper side, at least as far as the athletic achievements. And we've added layers and dimensions to it, I think. One of the things I started 2 months ago was a monthly column at the end of the month with all the tidbits that wouldn't necessarily get into game stories. This fall, I know I covered 6 football games, 3 boys soccer games, 3 girls soccer games, and 4 volleyball matches. Largely because not just getting the results, but getting the human side of it and making a point of it after each of these matches to talk to the student athletes, get some of their points, because that really makes the story sometimes. Because they're the ones that know best. They're out on the court, or out on the field, or the soccer field all the time. So they know what's going on and get their insight and input as well as the coaches. So I think that we've really kind of established that. And then I turned to the alumni and alumnae, and I've tried to get some stuff going on their side. Of course, we know a few of them. Brian Shore is one, and Carol Brunegel was another. And I need to touch base with her, by the way, in about a week or so. She just got engaged. She was proposed. She got a marriage proposal on the court after her last regular season game on senior night. So, yes, I need to speak to her about that. But she's been really busy because they had their conference tournament. So we're trying to do things, and I'm trying to. And I think because of all the great networking and the cooperation of many of the coaches and the athletic director, Chris Ross, we've been able to really get things rolling. And I think we're in a good place now. We just need to kind of go with that. So I know on our side of it, I know there's a lot of talk about things that the district would like to do and needs to do. But from the outside, I know we're trying to do a lot of those things. And I think that, as far as the human side of it with the student athletes, I think we've kind of done that. And as I mentioned to my editor at the time, I said, when we started this, I said, I'm going to give you something you haven't had before, which is just that human element. And I'm happy and proud of that. And we'll continue. Because we've got basketball coming up now and winter sports, and there's a lot going on as well as the great football season. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just had one quick thing, and that was the note on the SATs being offered here. I mean, while that seems really small, that's huge. I mean, talk about a high stakes test like that and students that feel comfortable in their own school taking that. I mean, while it seems small, that it could seem really small. mistakes that really could define a student's path in their life. Getting them to feel the most comfortable that they could while they're taking that test is huge. So thanks to everybody for that.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thanks, Woody.
A question about that. I remember dropping my son off with Minisink years ago, and the students who were taking the SAT test for scoring went one way, and there was all these younger students, middle schoolers, going the other way, that were taking, I think they were taking the test, but they were scored in-house or something. They weren't being submitted.
It was probably for the Johns Hopkins talent search, because they don't have formal IEP for gifted students in New York State. It's not part of special ed. It's just a haphazard thing. A lot of schools use that, and then they do online stuff through Johns Hopkins, so that might probably what it was.
Okay.
And they use the scores to decide whether you're better.
But they were
than
taking the
anyone.
SAT test.
And they use that to decide if
Okay.
you get in or not,
Right.
whether Hopkins will accept you into the online program.
I just thought it was an opportunity to give even the younger students, the 6th, 7th, 8th graders, a chance to be exposed to it. I'm just curious if we do anything, if we do anything like that here, or what the expense would be to do that.
We do testing for the Johns Hopkins.
And we're ahead of most schools in that we do all,
My daughter participated in that, and she had to take the SAT.
Was it
And,
was it different?
is that 8th grade?
They do
Eighth
Williams.
there are kids
Williams.
that are participating for that purpose.
Yeah, do you still do that? Still do it? And we test all 10th and all 11th graders in the PSAT, which most schools don't. Most schools, kids just sign up for it if they want, and they go on a Saturday. We choose to do the Wednesday option, so that there's no issue, I can't get a ride to school on a Saturday, I got to work on Saturday, yada, yada, yada. We have them do it during the school day. And that's had a big impact for us.
Those are submitted tests.
Submitted scores, right, yeah.
You know, the practice, the kids, the earlier kids, they get to just take it in-house, so to speak.
Right.
Are there any other comments on administrative reports? Moving on, financial reports. Any comments, questions? We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay. As Shane had said, the football game is tomorrow night. The team is 12-0 for the first time ever. And they play State College High School tomorrow night at Danville High School. So this is farther than we've ever gone. So it's exciting, to say the least. He could barely sit in his seat. It was funny, I got on 84 in Matamoros this morning. They had the Harrisburg. And I saw all kinds of signs climbing up, going up the hill between the Matamoros exit and the Milford exit, wishing the team good luck. So someone was out there putting them up today, getting ready for their bus trip tomorrow. So that would be pretty cool. It's really
We don't get on and
Joe. They'll get out here. And then they'll sit, they're up like by the Milk, up by Sauk Hill, up by the Milford exit. And it was pretty cool to see them like sprinkled along on the mountains. So, as I said, at the next board meeting, field hockey, girls soccer, and football will all be here to be honored. Winter sports started this week. Last Friday night, we had over 200 senior citizens at the Dingman, Delaware senior dinner and drama show. And that's what, Jimmy, 24th year for the show?
25.
25. All
24 Dingmans and one up at the original was at Delaware Valley before we made them all.
And we have the DV Middle School Drama Show coming up, and that's been going on for over 40 years, because Jimmy Burnett did it for 33 or 34 himself before he retired. So that show's coming up. Is that this weekend, Pete?
It's this weekend, Friday, Saturday, at 7 p.m., 2 p.m. on Sunday, High School Auditorium. And the preview was very cute, so it looks like a good
And then finally, we had veteran ceremonies in all the schools last week. We had the dinner at the high school last Thursday night, and then on Friday, all the other schools had their ceremonies, and then they were a big hit, and we got nice coverage in the
So many
Dispatch and on
positive
TV.
comments, outstanding comments.
So it's a day to make you proud. It really is a nice day, and it honors a lot of veterans between the 7 schools. So that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you.
Sure.
Moving on, may I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Second.
Jack and Brian, may I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, cafeteria fund, and the capital reserve fund?
We need to vote
Yeah,
on
we
the
need to
treasure
vote.
board. All in favor, say aye.
On the treasurer.
The treasurers.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I skip it? Let me go back, I'm sorry there. May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
We have a
We have a
motion.
motion.
We just
We
need
have
a
a second.
vote.
We just need the vote. Oh,
So
okay.
moved again.
Second.
All right, so you can take us through. You just,
All those in
just
favor?
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. I see, I thought you meant you needed a roll call. Okay. I don't know why. Okay, now may I have a motion to accept the bills for payment?
So moved.
Jack, and who is that? Brian? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Moving on to personnel items, may I have a motion to approve items including resignations, appointments, childbearing leave, extension of bereavement, and change of salary. And I just would like to note that one retirement, Christine Morrissey, is noted with regret.
So moved. Second.
John McCory, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve additional volunteers?
So moved.
John
Second.
and Chuck, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We now have a motion, the Delaware Valley Adult and Community Education courses and instructors for the spring 2018.
So moved.
Jack? Second. Don? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We have a motion, additional occupational advisory committee members.
So moved.
Wake up, guys. Jack, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the number 2 fuel oil, diesel fuel, and unleaded gasoline bids for the period July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Brian
Second.
and John, any discussion?
You'll have that come in? I know we have the attachment.
Yeah, the good news, there's bad news and good news. I mean, the market is 50 cents higher this year than it was last year. I'm recommending you lock it in because I don't believe they're gonna go down anytime soon. The good news was that we had another vendor. We had a person that worked for one of the companies who went to another company, and I think it ratcheted up the previous company to give us a better delivery price. And so the delivery price dropped by about 15 cents. So even though the market's up 50 cents, the delivery price dropped about 15 cents, which was good due to the competition. So I'm very happy with that part of it. And again, this will lock at tomorrow's market price because that's how you get the competitive bid, because they know they're not up against the market. The bid is just hope that overnight the prices don't change much from today. From what you see on here, because we have to give the price as of last Friday so that they can put it in and bid it. As of today, it's 3 cents down from what's on this. So when this gets finalized, it hopefully will drop 3 or 4 cents tomorrow. When we lock it in, so to say. Not the computer usually. But I think it's the best we're gonna do. And I don't wanna take the risk of waiting until some other time because this is for the effective of July 1st of 18 through June 30th of 19. I recommend it, approve it.
So Bill, if you recommend it, I just would like to say, I'm sure it is the best that we can do right now. I
Excuse me?
appreciate, I know it's the best we can do right now if you recommend it, because I know how much time and effort you put into this.
Well, the people involved in the market might say it. The only way the price will go down is if there's a very, very warm winter. And all the predictions I'm hearing is it's gonna be a normal, like not freezing cold, but a typical cold winter from the people's projections. And they're just guessing kind of weather-wise, but some people make, legitimate guesses on weather. And so the risk of the prices going up are not worth taking.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bill, have we dealt with Superior Plus Energy? Have we dealt with them before?
We have.
What I was really impressed about this is the prices were tight and theirs was really tight, so it was good. I think we're gonna fine with this.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with this.
Yeah, we have a couple New York State bidders. Newburgh terminal is not that far away for them, so that's what's our delivery charges. Because for years, we did the bids down through the IU as a consortium, and we were just paying extra because of the distance from the bidders down there. So when we did our own bid, we actually do better than.
I was happy with these, Paul. I think you did a great job, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the resolution to revoke the local economic revitalization tax assistance, better known as LRTA, with Dingman Township and Shohola Township?
Second.
Jack and Jack, any discussion?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. The program has not been terribly successful since we instituted it. On the other hand, the school district loses nothing. If somebody comes in with a company and develops a piece of property, we don't lose tax money. We just give a discount over a 5-year period on the improvement in taxes that we would have received. So there's really no risk to us as a school district in terms of our income. On the other hand, I'm not thrilled with labeling certain parts of our community as economically disadvantaged. So I don't know, I'd like to hear from other board members and see what they think. I think I know where you stand, Jack.
Yeah, I won't take up any time on this.
For me personally, it lacks consistency across the county. I would hope by now we'd have more partnerships, and that hasn't happened. So I'm fine to vote no, not to accept it.
And I found that Dingman still has not approved it. They said they would wait until a big package was brought to them. So they've dragged their feet, even though they asked us to approve it way back when. They said, we're gonna wait until you bring something big in the town and then we'll consider it. So they never came through on it.
Well, they approved the ordinance, which
Well, just the
allows
ordinance,
LRTA, but in order for somebody to get the benefit, you have to apply with things. So they did pass the LRTA ordinance, they just don't.
No, and just to clarify, when I say no, I mean I don't approve of having it. I would be voting yes to the resolution.
Well, we can always reinstitute it.
That's my part of this is, Chuck, do you wanna go? No. Okay, sorry. I like John, what you just said, that it can be reinstituted at any time. It doesn't take anything to redo it. What I've never really liked about it, I was willing to say in the beginning, yeah, give something like this a chance. It's not proven any successful. And as the scene has gone on, I do not see the infrastructure ever come to Pike County to sustain economic development. I think what I've accepted is that the jobs are no longer 2 hours away in New York City, the fine paying jobs, they're an hour away. And I think what this county has going for it is tourism and this school district. These are the two driving forces in this county. And I think we're gonna get a lot of people who work over in New York and Orange, Rockland, Sullivan County right now with the amount of work that's going in up there. And they're gonna come home here to the nice school districts with reasonable taxes and country air. What I don't like about this is that it promotes unfair competition. And what I mean by that is, so many times you hear people that, obviously with my accent, I'm not from this area. But you hear people that have been born and raised and grown up here. And they say, I used to love shopping in that shop when I was a child. And we used to go here, and my mom and dad would take us here on a Saturday and we'd get ice cream at Mr. So-and-so shop or Mrs. So-and-so shop. And what this does is, say you have a butcher down the road. And that butcher puts a lot of money into his store. And he's been there for a generation. He's got a wife, family, customers that he deals with all the time. And somebody moves in across the street and decides they're gonna develop a supermarket of some kind. This gives that new corporation that comes in, it gives them an unfair advantage, because how can the man with the existing business in Pike County compete against somebody that's getting a tax break? He's already as low as he can because it's so hard for small business. So, whereas this might encourage new business, we haven't seen it. Since the letter's been passed, we've not seen it. So there's no upside to it. And the downside is, well, people have to decide what kind of an area they want to live in. Do they want to develop that area? Because every time you hear of a new store opening up, there's 5 people that complain against that it's opening up and being developed. So I just don't think the school should be involved in this. You know, I don't think it meets our mission statement. And we gave it a try. Nobody can say we didn't give it a try. So I vote against it.
And I would just like to add before we turn to the audience that the majority of our businesses are on the 209 corridor here, on 6 and 209, and we can't take advantage of any of this. So,
Well,
the public.
I've had experience from Lurie, sitting on the Economic Development Authority, being the Westfall Township Supervisor, which, by the way, we voted it down. It wasn't required for the township. It's good for areas, I hate the terminology, I agree with you, economically depressed areas. There's a lot of criteria that fall into that catch-all phrase, and it's not necessarily economically depressed, it's wages and things like that. Primarily, LRTA is to attract corporations, businesses, not mom and pop stores. It's not to bring in a Walmart or something like that. It's to bring in corporations, right? As a county, as compared to, say, Orange County. Jack, where you work at that power plant, they had a $50 million LRTA applied to them. Substantial, that's huge bucks. I mean, what does, as Pennsylvania as a whole, what do we have as a state, as a county, to induce business to come here? You're right. I don't like commuting 3 hours to New York City. I'd rather commute, 2 miles away. That's just not going to happen. You don't have the infrastructure. It's a start. It's an inducement to bring businesses over. Besides LRTA, you also have the Governor's Action Plan, right, of which LRTA is a part of it. You have to be able to offer some type of an incentive to bring business here to the county, right? Does it hurt you? I don't see how it can hurt you. I mean, you have a piece of dormant property. What it's really good for, you have a lot, say 2 acres. It's undeveloped. You're paying your tax rate on an undeveloped lot, all right? I'm XYZ Corporation. I'm willing to build on an acre. I'm going to bring in maybe 20 jobs, all right? But I need a little help. So on a scheduled basis, LRTA, it's a tax abatement program. Well, now it's a developed lot, right? So maybe for the first year, depending on how you schedule it, 10% property tax increase on it. Next year, 15%, so on and so forth, until you complete the 5 or 8 years, depending on what they adopt. That's where it is. You're actually getting more money for that developed lot. In the case of Westfall, right? Presentation was made. I'm in favor, but because of Westfall's proximity to 84, we have central sewage, and that plays a tremendous game in here. All right, we just didn't need it. Yeah, you had companies clamoring, and you still have. We just have Roy Rogers open up. Yeah. Did you get your Twitter with cheese? I would do that. So I mean, that's the idea behind LRTA, is to attract corporations here. I mean, we have a long way to go as a county. We have some really big challenges, but that's one of the tools in our tool bag that we have to bring in. Yeah, car firearms. Okay, we had that. I mean, that's a perfect example of it working. All right, they got fed up with New York State and the politics and everything else that was involved. We had an industrial park, the White Albatross. All right, and somehow it clicked, able to do that. I mean, yeah, they had more incentives and things like that through the Governor's Action Plan. That's a good news story.
For them.
All right.
For them, certainly not for any of our people here that didn't get the high-paying jobs.
Well, it's a good news story in the sense that from the tax base, you have to look at the tax base perspective on it. So I mean, yeah, you have a piece of property you're paying taxes on, it's not being developed.
Right, but those taxes went to Walla back, and they sent their kids here because our
I
schools are
understand
better.
that, but that's.
So we had an increased cost and no revenue.
Bob, I understand what you're saying about LRTA, but let's be honest. You talk about CPV where I was working, I'm no longer there. I went to another project. That's in the city of Middletown. It has a sewage treatment plant where we can recycle water. There's a bigger one than that, but the exact same duplicate. If you look at it, you'll think it's the same thing. Going on in Dover, New York. There's another one going on in Scranton, on the other side of Scranton. The reason is because that's 3 big areas. We're Pike County.
I understand that.
You know, you're not gonna, it's that, the example you give me, Bob, it's just, it doesn't cut it. Because you wanna build CPV on that mountain in Westville? We don't have the facilities, we don't have the infrastructure. That's what makes us different from Dover, New York, Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Middletown, New York. So, you know, you can't say Larry you can't tell me, you know, we're also not getting Legoland. And I'm sure Legoland is getting Legoland. We're not getting Legoland because we don't have the infrastructure to support it.
You'll probably benefit from that because people will commute.
People will go there and get decent paying jobs and they'll live here, exactly, in our bedroom community.
A wonderful bedroom.
A wonderful bedroom community. I agree with you again, Mr. Fisher.
I can share some perspective if I could, because I've been involved a lot with Learn too. And I have mixed feelings about it, to be honest with you. So, which I guess as a journalist, I should be objective.
As a journalist, you shouldn't have any opinion. Right now,
I will say this, when I first heard about it, it wasn't from Mike Sullivan, although I spoke with him later on about it too. But when I was business editor at Pocono Record covering Monroe County, I thought it was, initially, my gut reaction is, this is great, not for bringing in businesses, but as an incentive for as an economic stimulant, as an incentive for businesses to improve. Because what hasn't been touched on here also is when businesses make improvements on their property for expansion, they get that abatement. So it goes from 80% abatement to 60 to 40 to 20 over a 5-year period, and encourages them to improve, to remodel, to expand upward, to expand outward, which means hiring more people. And I saw all the pluses on this. And then I looked around, and after I did this, I tried to sell the idea to my readers on this because it sounded like it made a lot of sense, because Monroe County needed to do something in some areas to kind of pick things up a little bit. But then like 3 or 4 years later, and they have signs around in Middle Smithfield Township and other places, Lerda approved property. Those signs have been there for 4 years. Nothing's been happening. And with the existing businesses, which is what I personally was thinking more about, there are so many empty storefronts and so much not happening, and some stores I don't want to name that I go to, and I say, Jesus, every year nothing's done, it's getting older and older. And I thought this would give them the incentive, and no one's taking it. So what I'm saying is that, although I recognize what's been discussed about bringing in businesses, part of the philosophy of it that was told to me was that this is going to, in terms of blighted or underprivileged areas, that this was going to give them an opportunity to spruce up and have a little more class. No one, I mean, you go on to Route 209 to Middle Smithfield Township, there's a bowling alley building there that's been empty for about 10 plus years, and many other buildings I can go on and on about. And I really thought this is going to end. They're going to start having occupants, or somebody's going to do something. And there has been very, very little movement aside from the Price Chopper that opened up there and the Wawa. Aside from that, there hasn't been really anything there. And I really thought that a lot of businesses would embrace that opportunity that have been there, as I think you had mentioned, Jackson, about businesses who've been there. You know, okay, the guy who's been there, okay, now I'm going to really upgrade and spruce up. It's going to look really great. Even the smaller businesses, they're just not using it.
The net result is we've had it for a couple of years, and there's only been one project. There was one project in Shahoda Township.
When was it approved, Marta?
At least 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Bill Greenwald was president.
14? There's one project in Shahoda. There's a couple in the works in Dingman's that might be applicable, but they're not to fruition yet.
So if we pull, what happens to that one?
They're in.
Okay, so
They're in.
continue there.
Okay. Can't take it away from them.
And it's only a 5 year, so they're almost up anyway.
You know, getting back, Jack, and forgive my ignorance, this is one of those things I wanted to pick your brain on. But you had said when we had Mr. Sullivan come last year, and he talked to us about Lerda, and the infrastructure was a big problem with bringing business into where we've got it. you had expressed that you feel without LERTA, without the cloud over us of being a depressed area, that it will cause home prices to go up. Okay? Tell me, okay. I want to make sure I'm on the right track. So my question is, home prices going up would be a wonderful thing for everyone, but we seem to have a very high amount of free and reduced lunch right now, which kind of tells me that we have depressed people just trying to make it and stay in their home. And how could that negatively affect them?
I think our.
Do you know where I'm going with that?
31%. Because 69% of the folks are not on free and reduced lunch.
Right. But we just seen when we went over that I think it was last month, our percentage was much higher than other schools.
Went up what percentage?
There are some buildings that are 39.
But overall, I think it was 31 this year.
I mean,
But our neighbors north of us are in the 50s.
Right.
The schools that we compete against, the top schools in the area, are much richer than we are, like Dallas and Crestwood and that.
And that's who those numbers were compared to?
Yeah, but the neighboring schools, Western Wayne, Lawn, Pompac, they're over 50% free and reduced.
But it's a very good point, if we are moving up.
And LERTA does nothing to help those schools.
No, I know it
helps-
doesn't, but.
It helps corporations, which is really interesting because Amazon wants to build a new $5 billion headquarters. And they're saying they need an inducement and they need to be drawn in. And I know the state of New Jersey has offered them over $5 billion to come. Well, that means they're going to build a $5 billion plan free. And it's Amazon, they have $120 billion on their balance sheet. Well, you know, I guess if we had the infrastructure, and they're gonna create 50,000 jobs. Yeah, they might, but no, it's the oddest thing that these large corporations convince politicians that they need to be induced to go somewhere. You know what brings business in? Demand. And if there's a demand for your product in that area, you're gonna get businesses coming in. And they're coming along this strip here. And there's no LERTA here, which is interesting.
Because they're
And if
going
you
where the
want
people
water,
are.
They're going where the demand is.
They want
That's exactly
sewer,
right.
and they want sewer, water, and access.
It costs a lot of money to be added on for water. It stops right in the middle of 629.
So just-
Working on sewers.
Yeah, just give the brief, because I know I'm never brief when I try and explain this stuff, but the brief as to what is the pro and what is the con for just keeping LERTA? What is the negative to the district if LERTA maintains?
The negative is, I think I agree with Jack wholeheartedly, that the stores and the businesses that are already here have to compete against someone who is getting a large tax break. And that creates unfair competition. So I would say that is the biggest reason to get rid of the program. Of course,
It gives them a benefit if they want to grow.
but they have to pay more than their competition. If everything else is equal, the two butcher shops, the new one that's coming in saves tax money. The one that's been there for 20 years in the service, well, when you can get a reduced cost, you can offer lower prices. And what happens then? Well, the butcher, who doesn't have that, he's charging the normal price, but his competition is charging the lower price because they're saving. So, to me, the interference by the federal, the state, and local governments in the competitive process. We heard about competition from Bill. Competition is good. It's something everyone should stay away from.
And also, businesses coming in do get discounts through the county. I mean, when Kmart came, they had a 10-year plan where they didn't pay taxes. The rest of small business in Pike County did pay, continue to pay. And, you know, I'm gonna take off my hat as board member here and just mention, like, I personally would like to put an addition on my building. And I would like to do intergenerational care, which there's a demand for it. However, I mean, there's no break for me as a business person. I get nothing out of LERTA because I'm both Westfall and Milford Township, and neither of those participate. So I don't even have a choice to put it on one side or the other of my building. So businesses, like I said, do exist mainly on the corridor here, and there's nothing, no incentives for us to move to the next level. So I agree, it's an unfair, and I don't believe I voted for it originally, and
I think we both voted
Yeah.
against it.
I think, Dawn, what I tried to say with the unfair competition is, we see what's going on over in Port Jarvis. We see the revitalization. People are putting money into a community and they're bringing the community back to a pretty fancy place that's going on over there, you know? So we want our local businesses to reinvest in that place and revitalize our areas. My town of Matamoros could seriously use some help in that. We have a strip there, a commercial strip, and we could use some help. What this does, basically, with the unfair competition is the person that owns the store is operating on such a small profit margin already. They say, well, yeah, if I invest $100,000 in this property here to expand, like what Pam was saying with her business or something like that, and then somebody comes in here, they can wipe me out in a second. You know, so they're more happy to do it, and it really is in a small, tight area like this. It is that level of unfair competition that this could potentially have. It's just not worth it for me.
You know, and we as businesses have to pay to bring water to our centers. You know, I wanted town water, rather than relying on my well. So that was a major expense for me, bringing the pipes up the rest of 209. It stops at my center till you start getting past, I guess, Matamoros is where it begins. So for other businesses that would like to not use a well, I mean, it's a major expense, or it doesn't help with that, and there's no one else to help. So
I guess
I punish us.
I'm kind of on the fence because I mean, that argument though works for Westfall and Matamoros and Milford, where you have other businesses. You go out to Shahola and Bingman's and you don't have a lot of business competition. So that's where if we want to draw in a business to give us, more taxes down the road, a bigger tax base, to bring some more jobs or opportunities, stores, whatever, the areas where it is are the areas where it would be utilized the most. Businesses have a choice. Okay, I can go all the way out here and put my office building, because that's probably the better bet than putting a store where you need the foot traffic and you're going to have more lucrative business from people walking in and out. You're going to go to Matamoros or Westfall. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And I do understand, and the county tried. How long did we have the business park? But because of no infrastructure, nobody would come here for almost 30 years. We finally sold it to somebody else now. I don't know what they're doing with it, but.
I'm just curious,
Oh,
does
it has
Shahola have
Carlisle.
letter? Does Shahola have letter? Did they approve it?
They've had it the whole time, yeah. And then I did the one expansion project for the LP cylinder.
Yeah.
Well, I think the beauty of it, Dawn, is if you do away with it, we do away with our depressed label. And if somebody really wants it, they can come and ask you to reinstate it. And they can say, we're going to build a $20 million plant. We're going to provide 500 new jobs. And if you all decide you want to do it, you reinstate it. And then you hold them accountable to bring those jobs in. That's the real key. Right now, even if they don't bring in the jobs.
But how does Mr. Sullivan and our commissioners sell that if it's not here already? Because they certainly are trying to use it as a bargaining chip to get people in.
How many years? How many years?
For 4 years, 4 years trying to bring
They can
business in
sell it
doesn't
as,
seem
well,
like a whole
we have
lot
a
of
very
time.
receptive school board that would like to talk to you about it.
Yes, that's, I agree, because when you say you're a depressed area, you know what? I've begged in my life, because I was a poor kid. I don't like being a beggar. We don't have to beg. And right now, a major project is going in over, it's gonna go into Goshen, Legoland. It's a big, big amusement park. My kids are like off their life. There's people in Goshen saying, we don't want this in our backyard. We do not want this in our community, and I understand them. They're not begging for anything over there. They're actually telling people, yeah, you like all that, take it and take it down the road. We don't want it here. You know? I think when you go begging, you get less. When you say, this is Pike County, why would you not want to put your business here? What's wrong with you that you wouldn't want to build a business here? Well, that's the attitude that I go with, you know? Because if you don't want to put your business here in this great community, with this great school district and these great people, then you're out of your mind. And that's how I do
I
business.
have a question. Why did Westfall turn it down?
Well, we turned it down primarily is that we didn't need Lerda in the sense that, again, the sewers is that's the big thing. We have central sewer. Nobody else does. Milford's working on it right now. For your knowledge, Milford's working. Matt Osterberg is working to have their own sewer system instead of tapping into Westfall. Matamoros, sooner or later, is going to have, not going to have a choice but to get sewer. All right, once the EPA starts poking their nose, and saying, hey, why are you leaking raw sewage into the Delaware? I mean, you don't have a 2-acre lot to build a house in Matamoros. You have a city lot, 50 by 100. You can only do so much to that septic system so many times. I mean, you're gonna have seepage.
So I see the root of success for Lerda as being infrastructure.
Infrastructure, Lerda works hand in hand with the infrastructure. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch this gentleman's name. Wayne, to your point on businesses expanding and growing with Lerda, they're only gonna get the Lerda portion on the expansion.
Right.
If it costs me $80,000, I'm only gonna get $80,000 worth of work on that. It's an inducement, and I agree, economically depressed areas, it's a terrible name to use. That's why the state also has KOA zones for redevelopment, all right? Well, Jervis, this is something to look at how Port is doing it. I also suggest too that, the EDA meets every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Right, it's open to the public, not holding any secrets. Public is welcome. And I think to get a better understanding, I would say table Lerda, maybe next month, but attending the meeting at the EDA. I'm sorry?
First Tuesday?
It's the first Tuesday of every month unless there's a holiday. But I really would suggest, because I think there's a lack of knowledge here on what Lerda's doing. It's not trying to hurt us. It's trying to induce people to come. And we're not talking bringing a Kmart. We're talking about, say, bringing a Thor Labs, open up a laboratory here or something like that. High-tech jobs. You're trying to attract the high-tech jobs. I don't want fries to go, okay? Not that type of job. I mean, we don't need a Roy Rogers. What would have been better was what's the one like Cracker Barrel. All right, seriously. However, the demographics don't support it. When you're trying to bring in a business into town, the first thing businesses looking. Let's look at Westfall. I tried to open. Matter of fact, I tried to open up a Carvel franchise. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. The ice cream store. Carvel said you had nothing up there. Their demographics were like 5 years behind their study. So it prevented me. I could go to Newton and open it up. But the same reason that Cracker Barrel did not open up a store in Westfall was that you only have maybe 20,000 cars, okay? Your population doesn't support that, okay? There's a lot of factors that go in. It's not black and white. There's a lot of factors that need to be considered. And that's why I'm requesting that you table it until you learn more about it. It could actually work to benefit you in the long run. It's not, is it causing, number one, is it causing any harm? Is it causing anything? At least you have it on the books. Something comes in, like right now we have to consider a gambling ordinance in Westfall. Mandated. Right? No.
For the teachers that work on this campus that don't know Bob, he's one of the supervisors that put that 1% EIT tax on your.
Well,
I gave Walmart a property tax decrease, but put an EIT on all the people that work there. Now, we're moving on to something else.
I'm not angry about the EIT.
Well, the
Right.
EIT,
Number one-
but the EIT isn't really part of our
It's
discussion.
not the learning. Well, no, it's
And,
not.
I mean,
No,
we
there's a
really
different
need to
venue for
move
that,
on.
but in defense of enacting the EIT, real fast, 30 seconds.
No, but no.
We only have.
I apologize, but we really need to move forward with this
Absolutely.
discussion.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to talk about it.
And anybody who has any questions about the EIT,
See me.
you can go
See
talk to
me.
them after.
Pam, I'd like to call.
Okay.
Yes, I second that.
I do want to ask the board if you want to table it first.
No.
Okay, so we'll call, okay, we'll call, please. Okay. So we're gonna do an aye, all those, all those, or do you wanna do roll call? Roll call, okay, so we'll do roll call.
Joan Bouquet.
And it's
Yeah, I was just gonna say, read it.
Yes, is to revoke.
It's a yes to revoke.
Okay, yes. Brian Carson,
Yes.
Jessica Decker, Jack Fisher,
Yes.
Corey Homer,
Yes.
Dan Lutfi,
Yes.
Jeff O'Leary,
Yes.
Jeff Pike,
Yes.
John Robleski.
Yes.
8 yes, unanimous, motion carried.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on now to motion F. I can hardly read it down in the mouth, I guess it's not.
Sure, so easy last one.
Yeah, okay, no, all right. That's what I was gonna say. All right, so may I have a motion to approve the cooperative services agreement between the Delaware Valley School District and the Pike County Public Library in the amount to be determined for a partnership to support and enhance library services available to our students, and the approval of the corresponding 2017-2018 budgetary transfer from account code 5900-890, which is our budgetary reserve, to account code 2250-591, library services purchased locally.
So moved.
Jack
Second.
and Jack. And now may I have discussion?
How do we figure out the number here?
In your folders, there is a à la carte menu of different items that you can look at.
And the total of that is,
The total of this entire thing is $43,744.
I'm sorry, how much?
$43,745.
Yeah, I gotta get to that. Up there.
Because last time you had given me a range, 10,000 and above, so.
So you know, probably what I'm going to ask here is because of legality reasons, apparently we were not allowed to be inclusive of the adult literacy program in this motion. To me, that was a very important component of this partnership. So, I have a feeling it's embedded and what you gave.
You look at the.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I do think it's embedded, but I think for the benefit of everyone, if you could publicly explain how that partnership does exist without being described in the motion.
Sure. So they meet at both of our locations, and we are hopeful to help them progress. And we want to provide things like GED and ESL materials. And I mean, we already have the space, which they use it for free, but you know, we could give them more and help them more while helping former students who maybe dropped out, or adults or kids that are moving here and they have ESL as English as a second language. I know that was a question last time, so just in case. So we can help those kids with all of those materials, but it
And
would also help
monetarily,
them.
in this proposal you gave us, where are they included? Which amounts would service?
The ESL and,
Yeah.
the ESL and the GED
Yeah,
materials.
I just, for the benefit of the
Sure.
press
Yeah.
and the newspaper.
For
I'd like to-
$2,400. Also, there's a technology initiative that we discussed. Primarily, we're looking at 30 Chromebooks for each of the locations, the Dingman's locations as well as the Milford location. And those could also be used by anyone utilizing the library. We're looking at it primarily for use for our students after school, Saturdays and so on, but during the day when our students aren't in there in the summer or whatever, obviously that would be open to any patron, including adult literacy students.
So the library is in the unique position that our service population is everybody. So we don't exclude anybody. So they're welcome to it during the day when it's not in use by students.
So you did meet with Gary. I know as of Tuesday,
I
he
spoke-
had not
Yeah, I
heard
spoke
from
to him.
anybody yet, so I
I
have to
spoke
call
to,
him.
I spoke to him
Okay.
Tuesday and told him, we cannot give directly to you, here's what I'm thinking. And how much is given to the library, but they say how much is given to you, I said, I'll get back to you.
Okay,
So
so
he
he
said,
had a
okay.
part,
With me.
in the planning.
We've worked with them many times. We went for grants together, and a lot of this was based on grants that we did not receive.
Okay.
So
I mean, for me, I need to know if I'm supporting something that there is some agreement somewhere that that faction will get the money they need to support.
It's actually on the, if you actually look on the, cooperative partnership agreement, on that page, they're actually listed as item B under number 2.
Oh, there's that.
The second page.
Oh, okay.
It's that they're explicitly listed, but
Yeah,
under the
okay.
library.
Perfect.
So Bill, what do we have in budgetary reserve at this point?
Well, the budgetary reserve was set at typical $250,000. You know, we're not even halfway through the year, I'm not sure what it's a month, but that's where we stand right now.
Thank you.
Are we, just for order, are we approving the agreement first and then discussing and approving an amount? Because we just had a motion and a second for the agreement.
We would fill
To be
in.
determined.
No, I think what we do
Yeah.
is we figure out what you guys are comfortable with as an amount, and then we plug that in.
And then we'll plug it in.
So what you
So
would
we're
do
not
is
approving
open
the
the
agreement,
discussion, so
okay.
you pretty much have to amend the emotion, the
Got-
motion.
Gotcha.
With the new amount, because we just have to be the
Well, I'll start off the conversation by suggesting an amount of $25,000, which matches what the school district used to spend on library services.
35.
35.
35. Okay. And then we dropped it to 17.5 and that's. Yeah,
That's right.
it moved up and then it moved down.
That's right.
So you had 25 or 35?
It was 25 in 25 from 1992 through 2003. 2003 to 2010 was 35. 2010, 2011, it was 17.5, and then nothing since then. And before 1992, it started at 4,500 and went up to 9,000 until it jumped.
Yeah, I do remember it was 25 for a long time.
11
Yeah.
years, it was 25. Thank you.
So I'm a believer in aim for the moon and you may hit the stars. So I support rounding it up to 44,000.
So we don't have, you don't have any of these programs here now. So
No, I
none of
do not.
these are coming out of your budget.
Oh, the only one is the first grade field trips. That's, but I try to get a grant for it. If I don't, I still budget for it.
And while we're talking budgetary reserve, I'm gonna ask you tonight for permission to go out for a half ESL teacher, English as a second language teacher. Our numbers are up considerably. There's a couple factors after the budget. How they do on the testing, whether they get out or they get less hours of service based on their performance. And how many kids move in over the summer, and then we've had some kids, multiple kids come in after the hurricanes too, from Puerto Rico. So now our numbers are really up. So one of the things I'm gonna ask you to do is take money out of budgetary reserve for just a half a year, half-time ESL teacher.
And
So
how
that's
much
probably
would
be 25,000 plus benefits. Okay, right, so 25 plus benefits, so it might be 30, right, 30 some.
35.
Right, figure. I just want you to know that before you give away money, I didn't, and then I ask you next time for something, you say, why didn't you tell me that last time?
The way this is set up is that this is out of budgetary reserve this year. But then it says, beginning with the 2017-18 fiscal year, so this is gonna roll into our operating expenses every year, right?
It's a board decision.
Yeah.
But it's written so that we have to go through 4 or 5 meetings a year if conceptually.
What do you say?
Kind of, I guess that's what I'm saying. In defense to Rose, the list of, we put a laundry list here. It didn't necessarily mean that she just didn't listen to us and asked for $44,000. It's up to the board to decide the amount of money and which one of the initiatives or which initiatives that you would like. I just wanted to clarify that Rose didn't come back with a higher number than what was discussed. There was just a lot of things put on here that would be great ideas to do, and now it's up to whatever the board wishes.
And am I correct? It seems evident to me that you did work with Pat and I'm sorry, Peg and Gina.
Yes.
And, I appreciate the fact that you put effort into this and you obviously see the need and support what is being asked for. That's really, really important to me because this is a partnership as we ask for.
The one thing I'll just give, for example, the, Rose has a wonderful idea to utilize tutor.com. And it's a really wonderful program. Students get one-on-one tutoring by going online. It would be open to any student that has a library card. They can access it remotely as well as at the location. So our students that do not have internet access can utilize the Chromebooks to utilize tutor.com. And in addition to that, our tutoring, at least in the elementary, does not go year-round. So we added in additional funds to help fund tutoring or supplemental services for students during the months of the year that we don't provide regular after-school tutoring. Typically, we start at the end of October and end around the PSSAs. So the very first part of the school year and the very end and throughout the summer, we don't provide direct tutoring services to our students. Again, primarily on the elementary level. So this would allow us to do it either directly with a teacher on site at the library or through tutor.com any day after school up till 11 o'clock at night, from 4 to 11 at night. And that would be one-on-one tutoring utilizing the Chromebooks so that they can have the access to the internet, which we recently have discussed about. A lot of our programs require internet services, and our families are finding more and more some of our students don't have that access. So a lot went into our thought process. We met with Kirk as well, and it was a really good sharing back and forth of information. So.
And I did, we have a lot of families that use the library every day, and the ones that I do know, I could speak with them and see what's lacking, what can we help you with after school, and the big thing is tutoring. And tutor.com has been on my list for a very long time. It's an unbelievable program. Wayne County has a lot of success with it. It is just extremely out of my budget. So, and I was happy to hear that was a need, and if this was a way that we could fulfill it, that would be fabulous.
Okay, I've talked about this subject, I'm sure everybody's pretty sick of hearing me, but there's different things to talk about here today. I think it was last Tuesday, you ran a program, and you're gonna run it every Tuesday at 4:30, art and literature up in Dingman's library.
Once a month, but yes.
Oh, okay, once a month. And I know it went on to a Facebook site, and I only seen one like on it, and then I saw a parent today say, wow, if I'd known that was there, I would have brought my child. And I think it's a fantastic thing, from what I read of it. I'd love to be off on time to bring my kids to it, but I can't, so my wife's gonna have to go to the mountain. What I'm not seeing in this is that the students, I believe, that use the library are doing probably pretty well, because that's what usually happens when a child goes to a library, they do well. I want to get the students in there that are not doing so well. So I think this cooperation, we have to, as a school district, we are really going to need to promote this. And I don't know if that should be included in the price or not, but it should be included in the conversation. We need to promote this with our, and I've talked to Mrs. Bixby just because I was with her 2 nights this week. And she said if I had known about that art and literature program, even though she's in Shahola, of course it's relatively close to Davis, she would have put that in the children's stuff. And she said that's a thing we can help with. I think that's the cooperation that we need. I just need it included in the conversation. Because all these programs are great, but they're nothing if we don't get the child in to use them. And I think that's a part of the equation we have to talk about.
We do the best we can with marketing, with our resources. We do push it as much as we can in the schools, but sometimes the timeline can be tough for us sometimes because these programs, we have a volunteer who wants to do it and we're doing it in 2 weeks and, we just did not get it to the school, but we do our best with that. We do a lot of online promotion because we can't afford advertising and newspapers and things, but we do send out press releases. Wayne is really good about covering us. We do the best we can to reach those, but it is something that we can absolutely work on and no problem with that.
We need to, as Jack was talking before about business supply and demand.
Right.
We have the customers. We need to get them to the supply to use. And that's our part of this. I just wanted to mention and make sure that was understood.
And this proposal certainly raises the bar and presents the sophistication to the Chromebooks that I feel is really needed in our library. And I absolutely love the part of seniors, teaching seniors. Wow, and could you explain, so Charlotte knows what that is?
So a big need is seniors don't know how to use the technology that they're given or they purchase. They have no clue. They come to us for help. We do the best that we can with, we've got one girl at the desk helping you and a line of people backing up, so it gets a little tight. So we have one-on-one tutoring. Again, that's time consuming and costly. So this is a way that, we can get seniors who maybe need something on their college application, on a resume, or juniors too. If they're comfortable with technology, they can take the time, whether it's half an hour, 45 minutes, sit down with somebody who needs help, and that's it. We would have like an open, if you are a person that doesn't have to be a senior, it just comes in, they need help with technology. Here we have these great knowledgeable volunteers that can take the time and do it. And I think it's helping a lot of different people, the library, the students, and the seniors.
And you have 30 additional Chromebooks to assist.
Exactly.
With that. And even when those grandparents go home and tell their family what they're experiencing, that information will certainly get out.
Right.
Also.
And I think a lot of those seniors, it's not even a device. They don't have an email address. They don't have, they want Facebook so they can keep in touch with their family. So, and so we would love to help them with that. And again, we do the best that we can, but that is a hole that I want to fill.
And if they get familiar with the Chromebook, it's something that
Exactly.
budgetary wise for seniors more easily obtained
Right.
than a phone or computer or laptop.
Right.
Well, we can't vote until we agree on a number, so.
To agree on a number, we have to agree on certain items here, right? Or can we just?
I think Pam agreed on all of them.
Yeah.
What's the cost of transportation?
That would be if we're gonna bus students that to the tutoring after school,
From the schools to
From the
those
schools.
locations?
from the school location. So for some, it would be just an extra bus stop. For others, it may be direct transportation, and I just threw a number at it. I don't know if it's necessarily needed or how accurate it would be, but I didn't want to leave it blank. I thought we had to put a price on there to reimburse Marvin for adding some of those stops if necessary.
Why would we look at raising an amount that we're gonna give to the library? You know where my number is, I threw it out last time. But for tutoring, where we then have to take kids from school, bus them to the library, maybe bring them back to the school, or mom and dad have to pick them up at the library?
No, this is
Not bring them back.
So you're just busing them from school to the library? So then mom and dad have to pick them up at the library? We've already got Chromebooks here. We've got schools open for late buses.
Not for elementary and not in their home
Okay, and
community.
we still have not received numbers that we've talked about time and time again as to how many of each grade are utilizing a library on a regular basis. We don't know that. We don't know if it's the same people. Do we have 50 families in the county that are at the library every week? Or do we have 1,000 families in the county that are at the library once a week? Right, we don't know that. And this is a lot of money for us to say, okay, taxpayer, give us your money. We're gonna use it wisely for the school and then turn it over to the library it's a lot of money. We're talking about more than what you gave historically prior to cutbacks. So I will not.
It's a lot, but it's much more inclusive and much more
It's
sophisticated.
much more inclusive for the people who are going to find the way to get to and from the library with their students during their hours. And it might sound like it's easy, but when you are parents who work an hour or more away and you're driving home and then you have to transport your child here and there, it doesn't work. And I haven't seen the numbers to support this. I threw out the 12,000. If you look at all the items that are not related to the tutoring, you're at 10,200. I'd round that up to the 12,000, give them $1,000 a month as an initial, let's get some money back going to the library. It's 12,000 more than they've been given over the last 7 years. And we can build from there. If we see things happening, I'm sure she's gonna come back. She's very willing to come to our meetings. And build from there. I think when you start way up here It's complete opposite of everything I talk about with special needs kids, because you want the bar high. But here, if we start up here, where are we gonna go? Let's start where it's a reasonable, responsible, we need a new teacher. All right, that's what the budgetary reserve was for. Jack, before he leaves this board, has fought for those line items when we wanted to get rid of them. What do we need this for? Well, we know. We needed it last year for the amount of teachers that were retiring. So I don't think to take that and put it out there, and there definitely is going to be the assumption that this is going to be an annual thing. You're not going to buy 30 Chromebooks and then not do this next year.
Well, it is, and that's how the agreement's written up. I mean,
But you're not gonna buy another 30.
No, you're not.
No, so that's 15,000.
But then why would we put this dollar amount beginning with the 2017-18 year and just assume that it rolls over in operations? This moved over from
I think
a
we would
pilot.
vote.
Well, it moved over from a pilot program to moving in operations a specified dollar amount. A pilot program I would have been on board with. 12,000 for a program. Let's see how the program does. We'll assess it this year. We'll look at it again next year. That would make sense to me. Instead of putting them because we're around budget time, we're going to be talking about services here at our school. The zero is going to be thrown out there, and then they're going to say, well, what programs are we getting rid of here? And I mean, it's going to come down to the library getting rid of those programs. That's like pulling teeth to get rid of programs. So that's my worry, if it rolls in operations this smoothly.
I think we all know going forward that every year there's going to be an increase in the budget based on the contracts that are already in place and based on the healthcare costs that are increasing, based on PSERS.
So do we need another one, is what I'm saying, something else?
No, but this is coming out of budgetary reserve this year. If you don't want it next year, when you get hit with all that $2 million of new costs, Rose will come in and make the pitch, no doubt. But if you want to let it go, then you let it go.
But then we just gave the library almost $16,000 and 30 Chromebooks that won't be used.
Well, you'll continue to use
That
the
won't be,
Chromebook.
that won't be used for our joint agreement, which is what we had I think, came to agreement that that's what we needed. We're not making a donation. We're entering into an agreement. So for us to enter into an agreement with the thought that we have a 50-50 chance of terminating that agreement next year.
But what is changing? I mean, I still see parents using this, especially if we initiate this and we're using this for a year, they're just gonna suddenly stop.
What's changing is we had
there.
$17,000 that was voted down by the board. A lesser amount probably would have been passed. And we've brought them back and forth. And now the $17,000 number, which what failed, has been brought up to 50,000 almost.
No, this was not about all inclusive. This was about to give you an idea of programs that we would like to offer the community and pick which ones you want.
I understand that.
We were not expecting.
I understand
all of
that,
this to
but
be
some of
approved.
my fellow board members are planning.
I'm expecting
all of it.
I'm expecting us all to consider this and to vote on an amount. I have voiced what I support, and I respect what you support. Majority rules here.
And to Corey's point, this wording can be changed in any way by people wish.
Right.
The thing, Rose, and I'm straight honest with you, I've been straight from the beginning. When the 17,000 came up, I was nervous. I wanted 10. I figured we'll get 10, and then we'll see how you do, because I know what you're gonna give us. And now you're entering into a partnership with Peg and Gina, and I know if you give TV people any money, they're gonna give you services. I mean, you're gonna get your bang for your buck, which is what I'm always looking to get. I'm nervous about going to $43,000 because this is, like what Corey said, I wanted something pilot program, something that could grow. So I look down the list and I see the tutor.com and I see you're so excited about it, and I hear from parents all the time, I need tutoring for my children, I need tutoring for my children, so okay, I'll go for tutoring. And the after school tutoring, so that gets us to 12,800. The $5,000 bus transportation, I'm gonna ask my friend Marvin to absorb that somewhere in his budget. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that out.
Or we don't do it because we've never done it before.
I'm not
That's
even-
really dipping into a whole new world.
To tell you the God's honest truth, I'm not crazy about the bus transporting children. I'm not crazy about putting our children on a bus to go to your library. Because buses, there's a lot of confusion that goes on at times, and these bus drivers and people in transportation do a tremendous job. But I don't want a child all the way down in Denman's or out in Milford, and maybe no parent there to pick them up. I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah,
Let the
who's
parent-
receiving the child? That's it.
Well, if you looked at all those numbers at the bottom, I think someone said it. But if you go below the technology, starting with the $5,000, and you add those up, the 5, the 1, the 2,400, the 1, and the 800, that's 10-2.
Well, the Chromebooks, you know, I'm sorry, let's just go 7,500, let's go with 15 Chromebooks and see what we do there, you know? Because it's $15,000, so let's cut that in half, and 7,500. Anyway, I was willing to walk in here, and I talked to John earlier, I said, what can the district afford? I know what we can afford, I'm more conservative, so I went less, and I walked in this door saying 20, and then John Roboski threw out 25, and I look at the numbers, and that makes sense to me. I could go 25. I can't go 43.
Well, I support taking out that 5,000 in transportation, and I think you brought up a very valid point about that's a big responsibility, you know, having children. If we bus them there, we are responsible. If we bus them there.
Right.
But, and I guess what I have to say is, I remember the donations of $35,000 and what we got for that $35,000 compared to this for 40. Wow, this is much improvement. So,
I'd love to give you the
based on my
43.
experiences,
It's just next year. You know, I have to see something grow.
I would
have
take
to
out
see
the
it grow,
5, I would take out the transportation for me.
which would leave us at 38.
I would leave the Chromebooks at the full 30 Chromebooks. With some kind of understanding that that's an initial, I mean, that's, I don't know how you word it, but that's not a recurring expense. You know,
Right.
word up. But, and the bus transportation out, personally, I would take the after-school tutoring out, 4,800. And the 5,000 for the maintain enhanced literature and materials for students. The reason I point to that is that I think that is, correct me if I'm wrong, but our budget for maintaining and enhancing literature and materials for students in our own libraries, I don't think approaches that number. I don't think that DDES has $5,000 to enhance their library.
Oh, yes, we do.
They do?
Oh, yes.
In the library itself?
In the library itself, plus technology components.
Not just
No, no,
for books?
Just the books.
Just for books?
Absolutely.
You'd be shocked how much books
Books are
are.
really expensive.
Yes,
Yes, they are.
we spend
Okay.
about 15,000 a year already just on
A
children's.
hardcover children's book could be $22.
Okay.
So I would agree with John Obleski at
Then I'll go with
25,000. I think that's the consensus of the board, Jack. Say it again, 25.
I would go 25.
I would go 25 this year. We're already 1/3 of the way through the school year.
Yep.
So, you know, let's, you're gonna revisit this in literally 4 months.
That's a good point.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that 25 directed to particular items on the list?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to leave, as we have to determine what else would we eliminate. What did we eliminate there thus far, John?
5,000 bus transportation, the 4,800 after-school tutoring.
But does that go to the Pike County adult literacy? Is that part of that?
Which one?
No, 4,800.
No.
No.
I mean,
It's
it's
2,400.
easy ESL, but with tutor.com, you can kind of,
I think tutor.com, I heard, you know, was very important. I would leave that.
I think
Yeah.
if you take out the bus transportation and knock down the Chromebooks to 7,500, I think you're at 25,700.
You know what?
Just making an even number of Chromebooks,
Does that
8
leave
in
that?
Dingman's and 8 in Milford.
I'm real comfortable. I'm real comfortable with letting Dr. Vives, Dr. Schaefer, and Ms. Chachi decide what they need. You know, let them. I don't know what to tell them to cut.
Is the license for tutor.com based on the amount of accounts, the amount of Chromebooks that would be hooked up to it? So that number wouldn't go down if you look.
So I spoke with tutor.com this week, and it's based on our population size for the first year. From there, then they revisit it to see
How often it's
how often it
used.
was used, and also considering our population size. Your base pay for the next year is going to be at least what we're paying this year. I don't expect it to go up too much, but unless it's like every student in the district is using it, which would be fantastic. But
And just to
expensive.
make that clear, anybody can use it that has
Right,
a library card.
anybody that has a
So
library
we
card.
have to be in the library.
Right.
And that is a really good program. We use that in, that comes along with our DV Cyber Academy. And I know our students can take advantage of it there, and it's really a good.
Okay, so if you have you have a library, a child has a library card, goes home to his house, you can go on to the doctor, yeah,
Yes,
you
yes.
sold me right there.
Yeah, between the hours of 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. We could change those hours, but I thought those were.
Well, that takes care of the question you had, Dawn, about the parents' difficulty getting to the library. So,
Yeah, they just don't get the one-on-one tutoring.
It's one-on-one.
I do.
Whether it's
Slow your
on
hand
or
up.
not.
So my question, and not that I don't think that some of these things are needed, but what controls are in place that when you give them the money, that they actually spend it on what you're agreeing to?
If they don't, they never get it again.
I
We have
get
a signed
that.
agreement that they're gonna do
I
it.
get that, but who's watching to say that you said you'd only pay for 10 Chromebooks, and instead of doing something else that they said they would do, they buy 30 Chromebooks? Not that I'm saying you would, just as an example.
But basically, what we would do with this à la carte menu is we would revise this based on what we're going to do, and then it's a signed contract on the next page.
Okay, so
And it does
the
say we will have
district will be
personnel
watching what
in
they spend,
planning,
and you'll get a
selecting,
report
and
of what that.
I mean, they're in breach, they won't come back. They won't be asked to come back.
Just making sure that that's, part of it, because.
That's a good question, and it is put on here that our personnel will be involved in evaluating.
Mr. Fisher, this is the world absent of gentlemen agreements.
I think this has been very gentle. I aim for the stars. I like where we are now.
Gina, if we have a license for tutor.com for our students now for DV Cyber Academy, can we leverage that with our normal population?
No, because it's Pearson's. So we get advantages in our package with our cyber students, but it's not really ours per se. I mean, I can reach out to them, but I don't think they'd be able to do something like that. It'd be separate like this. Right.
Well, Madam President, I'd like to amend the motion to insert $25,000.
Second.
All right.
But again, do we have to specify where that 25 is, which of these items?
I think what I had
Can we
was
just
that,
get 25 grand?
I think we had the annual subscription, the Chromebooks, the special needs programs, the GED and ESL materials, the first grade trip, and the off-site library cards, and where we would make up the difference to 25,000 is we would reduce the number of Chromebooks to meet that. We'd have to bring down that 15.7, but whatever it is that fit in there, all the other items would remain intact in their amounts. Is that where we were, Ashley?
Yeah.
You're about $700 off.
$700 over or $700
You'd be
off?
$700 over, so they would have to reduce the Chromebooks to more to make up for that.
So I'm a little past the moon. Maybe I didn't hit the big star yet, but
There's always next year.
yeah. So we'll see what happens now.
Mr. Ali, maybe.
Yeah.
Throw you guys under the bus.
I'll be out here with
Free
Rose.
library. You'll come up for free to do the library cards. We'll keep all the Chromebooks.
For the district, and actually 31,000 on top of that for technology-related type supplies for each library.
Thank you.
Everything they're doing right now is for free. And they come in and do those.
So, one last question. Tutor.com, what subjects?
I can actually have what the sales guy sent me today, so I can give it to you. But I'll just tell you, math, science, social studies, language arts, foreign language, test prep, computer literacy, and job search. And also bilingual and Spanish tutors for math, science, and social studies. Grades K through 12, and then adults.
No, it's okay.
Did anybody hear that? Corey wanted to know what subjects Tutor.com covers, and it was math, science, social studies, language arts, foreign language, test prep, including SAT and ACT, which is they specialize it through Princeton Review. And then what else? Computer literacy, job search, and bilingual in Spanish for tutors in math, science, and social studies.
The language arts in that, does that have anything to do with the text dependent analysis that we
Above my head, sorry.
I'll go
I can
on-
find out.
Once we get the license, I'll go on and pretend to be a student, Jack. I'll let you know.
Get as much text dependent analysis as possible on that, please? Thank you.
Have to get back to you on that one.
All right.
All right, is everybody satisfied?
But
More discussion. Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Well, can you just tell me what it is again?
All those in favor to
Okay.
amend, I think we're just, well, at this point, we're just voting to amend the motion. We have first and second to amend the motion.
I think we did that. John made the motion, I seconded it to go to 20%.
Yeah. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Okay, hearing two objections, the motion carries.
We have that correct, and we did in the correct order. We had the original, we had the amendment, and we approved the amended motion.
That's what I'm saying, I don't think you voted to
We
amend
just
the
now-
motion. You first and seconded to amend it, but you didn't vote.
We need
to
two,
amend.
we need
We
two
just
votes.
did this motion with the amount.
Okay, so
No, you did a motion to amend that motion to add the 25. So you first and seconded a motion to amend it. So you need to vote to amend the motion.
Okay.
So that's what we
And
just,
then
That's
you,
what we just did.
so that's what we just voted on. Then we only
Yes.
voted to amend it. Now you're gonna
now you
vote.
have to vote on
A
whether
second
you're
time.
going to approve it or not.
Yes.
So you should probably do a roll call on that. Yeah.
John Robleski,
Yes.
Chuck Pike,
Yes.
Jack O'Leary,
Yes.
Pam Lutfi,
Yes.
Corey Holman.
No.
Jack Fisher,
Yes.
Jessica Decker, Brian Carso,
Yes.
Dawn Dugan.
No.
6 yes, 2 no, 1 absent, motion carried.
Thank you, everyone.
And I just wanna.
I love seeing democracy in progress.
I don't say a lot, but I would like to say something here. I don't think that advertising a budget for 30 days and then coming in at the 11th hour and raising it above that when the board agreed on a certain amount was fair to the community and the taxpayers. And I don't think it's fair to take the money that was raised after that 30-day advertisement of the budget and turn it over to the library. I don't think that is in our fiduciary responsibility. So that is why I voted no.
I understand your concerns. I think they're valid. I just felt strongly that this partnership is a benefit to our students and the community as a whole.
I agree, and I would have voted for a lesser partnership. Thank you.
Don, I appreciate you. You're a good friend of mine, and I argue with you just like Bob Pasteto's a good friend of mine, and I'll argue with anybody. I'm just that Irish, you know? But I do appreciate your self-improvement, you know? I can appreciate that. And we're all similar in a lot of ways, but what makes it different for me is this was I'm a product of this, so I have to disagree with you. But I do always take your concerns into account, and, you know, I know when you said to me during the week, I'll go for a second round, and I said, you stick to your word, Don, okay, there's no doubt about that.
You know, I also would like to remind the board, and I know this discussion did occur among some of us, that when we know what our unspent funds are that are left over after our budget, we have the option of giving that money back to the community. And there was discussion and no one chose to give it back. I raised it. I said, shall we give it back? But, you know, it wasn't an option. So now we have this money. So it was option, but it wasn't an accepted option. So I'm glad to see that we're giving it back to the community. But if we don't want to do these things, then next year at budget time, make it clear, for unspent funds, giving it back.
We need to be very, very careful about our budgeting moving forward, because as you all know, the resolution passed in the last election, and the next step is to freeze school districts at the budgets that they have now, with increases coming from the state, their discretion, in the kind of shape the financial status of the Commonwealth is at this point. We could find ourselves very soon in a situation where we're squeezed by PESers and contractual obligations, and not getting the funding that we need from Harrisburg. And that is a very, very big concern of mine. And we will have absolutely no power over that income whatsoever. Basically, that legislation will remove local control of education and put it all in Harrisburg. So I sincerely hope we are not on our way to that outcome, but it could be. So we need to very carefully consider our financial needs. And I stress the word needs.
It's actually set up a little differently with this, and there's a lot of work to be done yet in the legislature to get it to pass. I mean, I was against it. Anybody who follows me on Facebook was against it. But I'm not winning many lately. Yeah, but no, it's a definite concern. There's no doubt about it. And the fiscal responsibility that this district has had, even though we differ on, 50,000 here and there, will be punished for. So.
Well, let's make sure we communicate with the community if and when the legislation comes up, so that
we have a great bus to go down to Harrisburg.
That's right. From Wheels. I think looking forward at our financial situation, I agree with John, and that's why I agreed to these consortiums and the way we can get out of the consortium to go around, like what Bill was saying earlier time with the fuel things. And these partnership agreements right now, you see municipalities forming partnerships. Matamoros and Milford have many municipal partnerships going on. Westfall and Matamoros have a partnership with the police department. And I think this is the road forward, because there is going to be a limited number, and we are going to get capped. And that is through no fault of this district. The reason our district is sitting well is because of the hard work that was done on the boards and the people that came way before me. That's why we're sitting well tonight. So that's the people you have to thank for.
I'm sorry to move off agenda, but I just felt that was something that needed to be said. I should have waited.
It's okay. I have a couple for other businesses. May I have a motion to approve the following board policies? And those are numbers 1 through 9, which you've had time to review. Jeff, second, and John. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I don't want to make sure.
Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Just as a note, we will be reviewing board policies, and these I usually do list if anyone in the public has any questions. They can contact Dr. Bell. So integrated pest management, head lice, record retention, record destruction, public records, school calendar, emergency evacuation, schools, opening exercises, and lunch tickets. Those are still under final review. Now we move to other business. And as I said, I did have a question. I'll go with the board first and then public. I would like to know, what exactly does Delaware Valley do for ongoing education once our students leave it? In our mission, every meeting, we have a mission statement that says we support ongoing education. So tell me all the things we're doing for ongoing education that occurs once we're out, our students are out.
Pam, the way I interpret that is that we prepare our students to be lifelong learners. And as you know, the vast majority are going on to higher education. but it's difficult to keep a job in this world anymore without ongoing education because things change so quickly.
Okay, so it does say we foster lifelong learning.
Yeah, I don't think
What
it's
do
within
we-
the mission of this
Give me
school
some
district to work
specifics
with
that-
students after graduation.
Well, and I agree with what John is saying. I think it's our responsibility to build within students the desire, the need, the understanding that they need to continue their education. They're wanting that love of education. That's what I think rests on our shoulders. Not that we're going to follow them afterward, but that we develop that in them before they leave. And that's a love of education. When we talk about involving our kids, engaging them, Jack brought up how actually having the kids doing things, that's what we have to work hard on, so that when they leave, that they're excited to continue to learn. That's how I view
One
that.
of my friends, when his son graduated DV, was at the top of his class and has gone on to get his PhD and now teaches at a university. And it's all because of what happened here. In those early years, you get them in kindergarten, second grade, third grade, Jack's kid's age. That's when you have to lock them into that love of learning everything. And if you look at all the greats throughout history, Steve Jobs and Benjamin Franklin, Leonardo da Vinci, they learned their whole lives, and
Jack Fisher.
well, I am glad to be in that group. That's another thing. But yeah, so it's really important that we know that these kids are out there, and I love when they come back and they say, "This is what I'm doing with my life." Yeah, they moved away. That happens in every community, but it's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah, when I look at the things we're doing, when you look at our high school, dual enrollment agreements with Luzerne, with Lackawanna, with Keystone, that's preparing kids. They're getting a head start. Kids in our career tech earning industry credentials that they'll come out and be able to get jobs. So, we're developing those skills while they're here. 25 or 26 APs? 29 tests at the high school. So that's contributed to lifelong learning because that goes right to what Jack just mentioned. So we're doing a lot, across from career tech up to AP. We're preparing kids for the future.
One of the coolest things
I saw that, James, in your report tonight with the dual enrollment. It's very impressive.
And not just the academics, but the social and emotional components as well, and things that, we put in place for the counseling centers and athletics and Odyssey of the Mind. All of those things, I think, build lifelong learning.
One of the coolest things as someone who's now in their 7th decade of life is to see people like Ashley who went through our system, and Corey, and Zach, and Nick Troiano, who was on TV the other night, and to see the impact they're having on the local community and on the world. It's the one thing people say, how can you be on a school board? It's so contentious. Yeah, it might be at times, but that reward to see those kids line up and say, I'm going to Manhattanville, and I'm going to Brown, remember last year, and they love the learning. And it's the kids that we don't get, that we all feel sad about. And that's what Jack's talking about. How do we get those kids? How do we get them to the library? How do we get them to say, I love this book, whether it's on a Kindle or not, doesn't matter, a Chromebook. I love what I'm doing. So
Yeah, I think
that's your challenge.
Our music and art programs.
The never-ending challenge.
That's why I give such credit, and I talked a lot tonight, I don't want to. That's why I give so much credit when I see like the programs with the pumpkin or Mr. Man. You're taking it out of the book and putting it into the child's hand. And any marketing person will tell you, put the product into the child, into the buyer's hand, and you've sold it. Well, you've just sold children on the world. You've just given them the world, and you can take that lesson out of the book and into the hand. And I see that happening with all of our schools, with all of our educators. It's a fantastic thing. I love it. Yeah, it is, Jack. It's a hard job, this thing. But then when you could sit in the dark back of a gymnasium in Shahol Elementary and see all those faces and know you got that little piece that you helped these children, that's great. You see this tonight,
It's fantastic.
I just want to mention one thing. Jack Fisher was on this board for a long time, and he always talked about a marching band.
Yeah.
We got the marching band.
I thought he was kidding that night when he said he was gonna start a marching.
But
I was
they
gonna smack him.
won their first competition.
Yeah.
So, that's a
And
great
lacrosse.
thing. I wanted to share that.
And
because
lacrosse.
lacrosse.
And reading, I mean, we focus so much on reading, and we all know that developing children's love of reading, and you just supported the library tonight. I mean, that's lifelong learning. You have to continue to read. So that's another piece of it.
Or anytime we want a reading specialist, you've given them to us.
Can I ask an off-topic question? The food consortium that we joined, whatever it was. How is that? We were through a quarter and there was a lot of concern where we're gonna get the same quality food and whatnot. And I have to say, I have not seen complaints on Facebook from kids with pictures of their meals, so I'm assuming it's going well.
Yeah.
Is
I haven't
it,
heard any complaints.
so the quality, all the concern about that seems to be,
The US Foods was the biggest winner, which is in their respectable group. And we had another vendor that we tried that ended up, US Foods offered the same price because they couldn't come through for us, but it went through not a problem. So
And that gentleman, I don't-
haven't heard any complaints, so knock on wood.
I don't remember the gentleman who runs Solar.
Justin.
Justin, that's it. And he's happy with the quality and everything that.
Yeah, that one vendor was a problem. They were a low bidder, but they didn't want to come all the way to Delaware Valley. And so they ended up working out an arrangement whereby the next bidder gave the same price that they did, and they were willing to say, we don't want to travel here anymore. So it worked out smoother.
And Don, I consider that to be actually very much a part of this discussion, because teaching children to appreciate food the right way, correct, the items, nutrition, that's very much a part of lifelong learning. I mean, probably more so than most things we do. And we have someone from the audience.
So, last month I brought up the papers that the nurse sent him, and you were supposed to discuss it at the work meeting, but I don't attend those, so I was just wondering what the outcome was on that.
The BMI.
They were, I think the
BMI.
nurses were working on changing the letters, Maureen.
Worded,
Yes, the state has an alternative form that we can use, so the nurses are looking at combining the two forms that we have to come up with a form that might be more acceptable. The terminology, though, is driven by the state, so some of the verbiage will be the same.
So, but it's still gonna go home as a letter rather than pushed out
Actually,
through like Power School?
We're going to be emailing them home starting next year, possibly in the spring, when the high school gets sent home.
We want to be very careful.
We wanted Maria to say they're gonna put a kinder, gentler, but she
It's
couldn't
not so much
muster
that,
that.
I just
Wrong president for her.
I don't want that to feel friends of being anorexic or bulimic, and she gets the letter that says she's obese because somebody messed up her information and now she's got issues for the rest of her life. That's the problem that I have with it, the way it goes home. It shouldn't be going to those kids.
I just had a quick note. I was over in Vernon and High Point, and the big push is these active and collaboration and the pod concept. And I know all the L-shaped desks are gone out of most of the rooms. The whole rote memorization is gone. It's all the collaboration, active learning. And I'll bring this up again, budget time, but I just wanted to make a note. I mean, you're seeing a big push in all those high schools, even at the college, getting rid of all of those facing forward desks and so I just wanted to see what we were doing there. And again, budget time we can discuss, so. I just wanted to throw that
And one of
out
the
there.
places that you'll see the next change in furniture is in the science labs.
Right.
But we redid that one science lab in the summer of 14. Everything is all movable, portable,
Yeah.
connectable. It's none of the old fashioned black countertop science lab. So that'll be a good evolution. I'm amazed how many different shapes our desks are when you go into classes. Even as inhibiting as they are physically, because they're so big and sturdy. I mean, there's every kind of configuration you can imagine. But yeah, no. So the first place you'll see a dramatic change will be in these rehab science rooms.
Because I'm thinking more of the general education courses. I mean, even at High Point, it was neat. You walk into the class and students are writing on the walls and they have the paint that you can write on the.
Yeah, like the chalk
There's
paint.
just slapping up ideas everywhere and it just like looked really like neat, like
That is
engaging to the students. So I mean, just
That
throwing
is
that out there.
Yeah, Pam, I have one quick complaint about the district. I was at a Tricky Train event on Saturday and over in the 910 there by the gymnasium, by the natatorium, where young children are coming in and out. My daughter especially too, bought a Mountain Dew energy drink. I took it. I drank it to see what it would do to me. It's like worse than a Red Bull. I don't think we should be selling that at the school. I think that needs to be addressed because there was young children coming in. And some of these children, they know even have special needs. And they're going into that thing and buying these things.
Well, in high school, only young children will be in the building with their parents.
Yeah, my daughter bought it too. And you know what? I didn't see it until she had the thing popped open. And I don't think it's something we should give our high school students. You guys understand? I have a can of it and I kept the can for the ingredients. I just didn't like it, so. I'd roll those out into the street.
Yeah, I'm
I
serious.
said it's, if we're gonna promote healthy lunches and stuff, it shouldn't be in the school at all, whether it's little kids being able to get it or high school age kids, it shouldn't be in the school at all.
I agree.
All those drinks that are in those machines had to be approved. They have to meet certain criteria, they're not allowed, like in the old days, we used to have soda, and you don't have that anymore. You have water, you have flavored water, you have the juices.
There's a really nice machine to the left with all of the nice good fruit juices. Yeah, and this one's to the right. It's Mountain Dew energy drinks. I got a can for outside.
Okay. We'll look into it.
Is it like double caffeine?
Yeah.
I don't think,
Hey, Jack?
I think they're like
If it
Gatorade.
has propylene glycol in it,
They're,
you know what that is.
I know what
Pepsi
Glycol
version
is.
of
All right.
Gatorade.
Just so you know.
It's not.
Okay, so I have a couple of announcements.
I have one last thing.
Go ahead, Jack.
I wanted to leave with the board, the 990 for the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. I know you were at the conference last month.
All the time.
If you can get a copy to everyone, it'd be wonderful. It has some really interesting facts about the PSBA and salary levels will shock you. And
Retirement benefits.
Mr. Bell, you're underpaid according to these salary levels. You do much more work than that. And they are part of PSERS, which is really
Yeah.
odd.
Yeah, the new employees are not,
The
but
new
the others
the
are.
others are by law. So I wanted to leave you with that, and they run annually, two things, they run annually about 4% surplus, and it builds. And they use the accrual method of accounting, which of course is the only method of accounting that shows you correct numbers.
So we'll scan this and share, send it to everybody electronically?
Yeah.
So that everybody can have it? Okay.
We're gonna miss you, Jack.
Yeah.
Miss you too, Chuck.
That's not what I was thinking just now, but. You're right, they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
Yeah. We pay too much dues to have that type of.
Because
scenario.
this crazy guy has put a magnifying lens on that.
That's what I just
Yeah.
said.
Maybe it's not so principal.
And this is Simon Campbell, right?
Getting his good graces.
In the two races, he wants to send us in the straight numbers.
He probably already got one copy under his pillow.
He probably does, yes.
One more thing, Pam.
Just a thank you to the Delaware Valley School District support professionals for the cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Kept me alive.
Thank you, very nice. We take good care of us, them and Julie. December 7th is our organizational meeting, and that is here at 7 o'clock. So I hope you guys are chatting, figuring some things out among yourselves. I have to say, it's been wonderful being your board president these 2 years and one prior year, and vice presidents for a couple of years. But it's also going to be very nice to sit in another seat and not be wearing, always thinking what this person is saying, and that person, and that person, and that person, and then once in a while we lose track along the way because I'm trying to figure out what my future answer will be to that. So it will be a nice experience for me to be back to the sidelines. And I have to admit, I do some of my best work from the sidelines, Dr. Bell, you know that. So it's been nice for a couple of years, but get ready. I'm just joking.
Do we get to take these home and keep them?
Only if you're not coming back.
Hey, I'm sitting.
Well, I'll be back. I'm just gonna be in a different seat.
Pam, this
We'll wait
seat's
till
gonna
next
be
week,
vacant.
then we'll see.
I'd love to have you over here. I need balance.
You know,
against
I
Jack.
like, that's a good seat because you can't see everybody. It's hard to see everyone from this seat.
And then we just have to talk about,
I'm gonna, now, that was my segue.
okay.
You guys are anxious to get out of here, aren't you? So what we're going to do is John Burleski has graciously agreed to open the meeting because the seat president cannot initiate that meeting. And it has to be someone who was not in a recent election, so since I was just elected. So John has been our next longest board member. So thank you, John. You will come in and
It should be my most difficult job.
Yeah.
Well, John actually would start the meeting and then you have to immediately vote on a temporary president, which could be John or whoever you vote for. Then we swear in all the elected officials and then from there you vote for the new president and vice president, but they did recommend that whoever is going to be the temporary president should not be somebody who is wanting to be considered for the president's position. So just keep that in mind for the temporary president.
And Ashley will be able to swear.
Since
us
I'm a
all
notary, I can also swear everyone in.
But that's all we do that meeting, right?
in. Yeah, so,
I'll do it.
so the next,
It's my most important meeting.
our next meeting will be December 12th, and it will be a work session for the presentation of the 2016-2017 independent, yes, it is considered a work session, independent audit report, and that's at 8 o'clock in the morning here at the administrative office. And then our regular public meeting will be December 14th at 7 o'clock. And that is at the Dingman, Delaware Middle School Library.
In the library?
Same as last year.
And if there is no other discussion, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?